Hello everyone, my name is Nikita and I'm from the Modi Academy. Today we are going to start a new chapter from 10th Standard Science textbook, chapter number 3, Metals and Non-Metals. We know that metals and non-metals both we see in our daily lives, in the equipments which we use for our daily purposes, and in all the activities which we do. There is a big role played by the metals and non-metals. So first we are going to do the physical properties of both the metals and non-metals. Okay, when we talk about the physical properties are something which we can identify when we see the object, okay, by its appearance or by its some property which can be seen easily. Okay, so these are called as physical properties. When we talk about metals, the first physical property of the metal is its hardness. Okay, all the metals are hard. Okay, all the metals are in the solid state except for one metal, which is mercury. Mercury, which is in liquid state at room temperature. Okay, it is in liquid state at room temperature. So all the metals are hard at room temperature except for mercury, which is in the liquid state. So this is an exception. So now the second property of the metals is that the metals have an a shiny surface. Okay, all the metals have a shiny surface, and this property of metal is said to be lustrous. Okay, the metals have a shiny surface which is called as the metallic luster. Okay, now for this reason metals are used to make various articles. Okay, so all metals have a metallic luster. Now the third property is that metals, when the metals are hit with another object, they produce sound. Okay, they produce sound, and because of this property they are used in many setups wherein the property of sound of the metal is used. Okay, and this property is called as sonorous. The metals are sonorous. That's the reason the ringing bells in temples, okay, or in schools are made up of metals, because they are able to produce sound. Now the next property of the metal is that the metals are said to be malleable and ductile. Okay, what is the meaning of malleable? Okay, malleable means the metals can be beaten into thin sheets. Okay, metals can be beaten into thin sheets and they can be given different shapes and sizes. That's the reason this is a very important metal. This is a very important property of the metal. Okay, now and the gold and silver. Gold and silver, these two metals are said to be the most malleable metals. Now the next important property is ductility. Okay, ductility. Ductility means the property wherein the metal can be drawn into thin wires. Okay, when the this property is called ductility, and the metals are said to be ductile. Okay, this is the reason we have metals wires. We have metal wires, then metal chains, and many other articles of metals. Okay, so the most ductile metal is gold. Okay, now the very important property of the metal is its metals are a good conductor of conductors of electricity. Okay, metals are a good conductor of electricity, means that's the reason, and electricity and also heat. That's the reason the cooking vessels are made up of metals, because this will help in conduction of heat and the proper cooking of the food. So metals are a good conductors of heat and electricity. So we have some properties of metals, physical properties of metals, that are metals are hard except for mercury. Then metals are lustrous. Okay, then they are sonorous, they produce sound, they are malleable, they can be beaten into thin sheets, they are ductile, they can be drawn into thin wires, and they are good conductors of electricity. Now, talking about the properties of the metal non-metals. Okay, non-metals are just the opposite of the metals. Okay, so when we talk about the non-metals, okay, we need to know that the non-metals, okay, they are not hard. Okay, they can be brittle. Okay, and they can be in the form of gases also. Okay, gases or powder. Okay, or liquid. Okay, so non-metals can be in various forms. Okay, solid, liquid, or gases. Then next point is of luster. Non-metals are non-lustrous. Okay, they do not give a shiny surface, but except for a non-metal, which is bromine. Okay, a non-metal which is a bromine, which is an exception. Okay, okay, this non-metal, okay, it produces, okay, it is iodine. Okay, the iodine non-metal, iodine is the non-metal which is producing luster. So all non-metals are lustrous, non-lustrous except for iodine, which produces luster. Okay, now when we talk about the malleability and ductility, non-metals are non-malleable and non-ductile. Okay, they are non-malleable and non-ductile. Okay, and the last and a very important part of non-metals, that the non-metals are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Non-metals are poor conductors of heat and electricity. So these are the some properties of the non-metals which make them different, completely different from the metals. Okay. Now we have some exceptions. For example, the iodine, which is a non-metal but it is lustrous. Then we have mercury, which is a metal but it is in liquid state. Okay. Now we have another. Okay, we have metals like gallium and cesium. Okay, these two metals have a very low melting point. Okay, they have a very low melting point and they melt in or when we keep them on the palm of the hand. Okay, now when we say that when metals are hard, okay, means they have a very high melting point, but the exception over here is gallium and cesium, which are metals but they have a very low melting point, and that's the reason they melt on the palm of hand. Hand. Okay, then next exception. Okay, we have said that metals are hard. Okay, they cannot be broken down unless you apply a very large force on the metals. But there are metals which are called as alkali metals. Okay, these alkali metals are sodium, potassium, and lithium. Okay, these three metals can be cut with a knife. Okay, they are soft metals. Okay, and they can be very they are very soft and they can be cut with a using a knife. Okay, then we need to know something about non-metals. Okay, now carbon is a non-metal. Okay, but it is hard. Okay, it is hard, and there are two allotropes of carbon. Okay, diamond and graphite. Okay, so this is all we need to know about the physical properties of the metals and non-metals. Okay, that and the exceptions are very important. Mercury is the exception, iodine is the exception, then gallium and cesium, then the alkali metals, and the last one carbon, which is a non-metal but it is hard, and there are allotropes of carbon which are diamond and graphite. Okay, so next, which what we are going to do is the chemical properties of the metal, which will help us to identify and group the metals in a very particular way. Okay, and in a very precise manner. Okay, so I will just like to mention that the okay, when the metal reacts with oxygen, okay, when the metal reacts with oxygen, it produces something called as a metal oxide. Okay, a metal oxide. Now, metal oxide. Now, an experiment was done wherein a metal, that is mercury. Okay, a metal which was magnesium. A magnesium ribbon was taken and it was burnt in the presence of oxygen. Okay, and whatever result was produced was MgO. Okay, then this oxide, okay, this oxide was tested using a litmus paper. Okay, a wet litmus paper, a wet litmus paper. Now over here, the a red color litmus paper was taken. A red litmus paper was taken to test this gas. Okay, and it showed that the red litmus paper, when it tested for this gas, turned into blue. Okay, turned into blue. Now this change in the litmus paper denotes that the metallic oxide, that is magnesium oxide, was basic in nature. It was basic in nature. Okay, so here we say that all metallic oxides are basic in nature. Then in the next part, okay, in the next part, a non-metal was taken, which was sulfur. Okay, sulfur was made to react with oxygen and it produced a gas, sulfur dioxide. Okay, now this gas was tested using a blue wet litmus paper. Blue wet litmus paper. Okay, and this the color of this litmus paper changed to red. Now, this change denotes that the gas was acidic. Okay. Now, this says that the metallic oxides are basic in nature and non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. So, this is one of the property of the chemical properties of the metals and non-metals, which helps us to group them precisely and properly. So in the next video we will be studying more on these topics, okay, more, and we will try to learn more about the metals and non-metals. So thank you for watching my video. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel.